Hey y'all, and welcome to my channel. For those of y'all that have been here, been watching, been subscribed, what's up? You already know who I am. You already know how I get down. But for those of y'all that might be new, welcome. My name is Maniko, or Fu Has My Heart, as I like to go by on social media. And this is my channel where I just talk about the things that I enjoy, the things that I love, the things that I like, period. Let's get into it. So one thing about me that a lot of people probably do not know is that I love to read. I have always been a reader, and I mean even since I was in elementary school. When I tell y'all I was the AR reading champion of my school, like back-to-back years, you had to be there. You had to be there. If you don't know what AR is, Google it. Google it, okay? Nobody was seeing me. Nobody was seeing me. I was so good at reading that my teacher put me in charge of keeping track of all the other kids in my class. Like, we had this little what was it, we had like this little bulletin board, and it had all of our names on it, and whenever we finished a book and passed the AR test, we get like a little gold star beside our name. I was in charge of giving everybody that gold star, period, because I was that lit. Like, nobody could catch up to me, but it was nice for them to think they could. But anyway, I've just always had a passion for reading, and sadly that passion kind of fizzled out when I started college, because I had to read for educational purposes. I had to read to pass my classes, and it was oftentimes things that I didn't really care about. And so reading for leisure just didn't really become something that I really had time to do. But I did start reading again after I got out of college, and I mean like grad school as well. So like a whole 7 years of only reading things that were going to advance me towards getting my degree. But this year I've really been reading. Okay, I go through little spurts, but this year, I don't know if it's just me turning 30 Ooh, but I've just been back on my book shit. So this year I started reading again in March. I picked up my first book of the year in March, and the book that I read, let's see if I can get it out of this, show y'all this stack that I'm holding. So the first book that I read this year was Monday's Not Coming. And y'all, this is such an amazing book. I have had this book for some time, and the first book that I read by this author, her name is Tiffany Jackson, by the way, but the very first book that I read by her was The Hate U Give, and many people probably are familiar with that book because it was turned into a movie. The movie was really great. The book was really great, and so I wanted to read something else by her. And so when I got Monday's Not Coming, it sat on my shelf for a little while. I'm not gonna lie, I had this book probably for at least 8 or 9 months, if not longer, before I actually read it. So when we went to Alaska in March, this was the book that I grabbed to be my road trip book, and I'm so glad I did. So I haven't quite figured out how I want my book reviews to go. I don't want it to just be me talking the entire time. So I'm not gonna get too much into detail about each book. I'm not gonna like read the summaries and all that. I'm not gonna ruin the books for you just in case you do see this and decide to go purchase it. But if you're watching this and you are a book lover and you like to watch book reviews and videos about books, please comment and tell me what you would like to see. Like, should I read the summary? Should I just give like a brief overview? Should I just talk about my favorite parts of the book? Give a you know, what is it that you want to see? That's gonna help me figure out what sort of content that I want to mold it into, because I'm gonna talk about the books regardless. But anyway, Monday's Not Coming is getting a smooth like 15 out of 10. Like, this was a really great book. Very sad, and I think I resonated a lot with this book because of my profession. And again, I don't want to spoil too much, but if you read it, you'll understand what I mean by that, because I am a school counselor. I'm also a therapist, and so a lot of times I know what these kids feel like to not be heard or to not be cared about. So okay, so the next book I read was False Witness, and I actually call myself having like a little group a little book club with 2 of my coworkers, and we were like, yeah, we're gonna read this book, I read this shit in like a weekend, okay? Like, it was so good. Definitely a 10 out of 10. I love a good thriller mystery. It's my favorite genre of book, my favorite genre of movie, of show, everything. I love for a good thriller, okay? That's my jam. So I really, really enjoyed this book. It is the first Karen Slaughter book that I've read. And because of how good it was, I will definitely be reading more of her books in the future. So I'm trying to go in order in how I read the books, because I really just took off at one point. So Monday's Not Coming, I read in March, and it took me like a week or so to read that because I was just reading it sporadically here and there. False Witness, like I said, I read that in a weekend. I read that at the end of April or either the beginning of May. Actually, yeah, end of April / beginning of May. I don't really remember when I read it. But the next book that I read was American Dirt by Janine Cummins. And this is also a really, really great book. Definitely going to give this a 10, maybe even an 11 out of 12. It was very informative, educational, but it was also like touching. And this book is about people of Hispanic heritage. Basically just kind of, the story is of people trying to escape to America. So I'm not going to give details. I'm not going to tell y'all why they were trying to escape to America, but it just took us along that whole process of them trying to come to this country that is so amazing, you know. And being an American, I always think it's so interesting that people from other countries want to come here so bad because it's just so much better than where they live, or they feel like there's so many other opportunities. And I just be like, damn, America is so ghetto. Like, it's so ghetto. I love my life. I like being here, but like, if I could be from another country, I probably would be from another country, like an island or something. Like, I just feel like if our government was different, maybe I'd have different sentiments, but I feel like America's real ghetto, and I'm sticking by that. I'm standing by that. Anyway, check this book out if you want to learn more about Hispanic culture, heritage, all that. It was a beautifully written story. Definitely pulling on them heartstrings a little bit, but I definitely recommend this one as well. The book I read after that was The Last Thing That He Told Me. It's kind of hard for y'all to see the screen, huh? It's got this little tripod set up back there. So The Last Thing He Told Me, I believe that I may have gotten this book out of like a book box subscription or something that I had, because I don't really think that I would have went and bought this. I don't think I would have. Maybe it was gifted to me. I really don't remember. A lot of these books that I have, I've had for years and I have never cracked open. So some of them I really just don't know where they came from. I'm gonna be honest. But The Last Thing He Told Me was a good book. It was not a great book, not in my opinion. I feel like I was missing a little bit more. Like, the storyline was great, the plot was great, but I feel like just the way that it was carried out kind of wasn't super consistent throughout the book. I feel like at some parts it was just real slow, other parts it was real fast, and it just, I don't know, it went, at the end I wasn't like pleased. I just wasn't pleased. So I would give this like maybe a 7 out of 10. It was a good book, but it wasn't like my favorite book. And it was a #1 New York Times bestseller. So a lot of people probably don't feel the way that I feel, but I'm gonna be honest. I wasn't feeling it that way. And that's all I gotta say. Up next, probably a crowd favorite, a nation's favorite. I don't know. The people that read probably really liked it. Where the Crawdads Sing. I was supposed to read this book with my friends 2 years ago, maybe, and I got through like the first few chapters and I just never got back into it, because again, I'm trying to tell y'all, it was really a struggle for me to read consistently because it just was so many things going on in my life. Okay, I picked it back up this year. Okay, I wanted to pick it back up when the movie came in. That's what I wanted to do, but I just couldn't do it. So I really wanted to see the movie, so I decided to read the book, because I have this thing where like I have to read the book first before I watch the movie or the show, because I know the books are always a million bajillion times better. So I don't want to watch the movie or show first and think that it's just amazing, and then I read the book and I'd be like, huh? I did post this book on my Instagram story, and a lot of people told me how amazing the movie was, and I was like, oh my god, I can't wait to see it. So I read the book, 15 out of 10, beautiful story. Just, I loved everything about it. I love it. I would read this book again multiple times. I really, really liked it. The movie though, The movie just didn't capture the essence of what I felt when I read this book. It just didn't do it justice. And I'm going to stick beside that statement. I don't care how you feel. It just didn't do it justice. And I really wanted better. I wanted better for that movie. Yeah, that's all I have to say. With the book, amazing. Amazing. Please read it if you have not. The next book I read, I have to keep in, I keep forgetting to tell y'all how long it took me to read these books. The last thing he told me, I read that in like 2-3 days. Where the Crawdads Sing, I read that in like 2-3 days. This book I read in about 3-4 days. It is a little thick, you know what I mean? But this is another book that I've had for several years, probably 3 or 4 years. And I started it was really good, and then I think I lost my place. I didn't remember where I left off. I didn't have a bookmark in the book, and so I just said, you know what, forget it. And I never picked it back up. Can you believe it? I just never picked it back up. So again, this was years ago. At the time when I was reading this, this was the only book. It is a trilogy now, but at the time this was the only book. So, you know, the years go by. Fast forward to like a month or so ago, I saw that the third book in the trilogy was being published, and I said, damn, book 3? Like, where I been? So I said, you know what, girl, if book 3 is about to come out, you gotta at least finish book 1 and maybe keep it pushing if you don't like it, but you gotta at least try it. And baby, I'm so glad I did. This book, Tommy, I don't know how to say her name, Tommy or Tommy Adeyemi. Girl, I like you. I like the way you write. I like your books. This book was great. Another 10 plus out of 10 book. I love a good fantasy, and don't let it have black people in it now. I love that. So I wish I could talk about it, but if you have not read it, I don't want to ruin the book for you. But it was really great. Think magic and powers and saving people and black people. So it's still like yeah, like that. It was really great. And so I read this book, like I said, 3 or 4 days, and then I had to pick up the second one. I do not actually have the second one because my friend let me borrow it. Shout out to Olivia. But this one is called Children of Blood and Bone. This is the first book in the trilogy. Amazing book, awesome book. The second book is called Children of Virtue and Vengeance. Okay, so, or is it Vengeance and Virtue? I was right, Children of Virtue and Vengeance. So I read that book. It was also really good. Okay, I read that book in like 2 days. It was amazing. It wasn't as thick, like it's not as many pages as this one, but it was still a little bit lengthy, and I would definitely highly recommend that. Now, moving on, I'm going out of order a little bit. Moving on to the third book. This is the one that was just published in June. Children of Anguish and Anarchy. Okay, so I didn't actually read this one after reading the second one. I didn't read it in order because I kind of wanted to give myself like a little breaky break, and I wanted to start something else, which I'll show y'all that book in a second. But I just read this book. I started this, what's today? Today is Tuesday. I started this on Sunday and I finished it yesterday. It's probably the smaller of all 3 of the books, but I love, let me show y'all. I love the pages. I've never had a book like that where there's designs on the edges of the pages and also carries on into the inside. It made reading it really fun. This was a great book also. It's definitely not my favorite of the 3. I think I'm one of the people where like I need a little bit more on the ending. I don't really want you to leave things to my imagination. I want you to take me there. I want to know exactly what happened. Okay, I need receipts. And oftentimes in like sci-fi and fantasy, the ending is kind of ambiguous, where like you might just have to dream about how things went after that, and I am not that type of girl. Okay, still a great book. I'm still gonna give it like a 9 out of 10. I just would have personally wanted a little bit more, especially being that it's the end of the trilogy, a trilogy that I really thoroughly enjoyed reading. So that's just my personal opinion on that. So after I read Children of Virtue and Vengeance, I actually pivoted to reading The Housemaid before I went to The Children of Anguish and Anarchy. I don't know if I ever said the name of the book. The Children of Anguish and Anarchy was book 3 of that last series, okay? So I did read The Housemaid, and again, I read this book in 2 days, really like a day and a half if you're being honest, and really not even that long, because if you count the actual hours that it takes me, if a book is less than 400 pages, I can probably finish it in like 3 hours. Like, I'm a really fast reader, to the point where people be thinking that I'm capping. Be like, I don't really think you're reading that. I am. I read very fast, okay? So anyway, let's get into it. Last book that I'm going to talk about, The Housemaid, okay? This is another series. This is also a trilogy. I have all 3 of those books. I'm currently reading the second one. The Housemaid was real good. Y'all know I love a little thriller. Don't let it be a psychological thriller. It really gets me going. I really loved it. This book was great. I loved the storyline. I loved the characters. I loved how they gave you like a little twist and you was like, "Ooh." I love how they told it from different points of view. And so that's what made me say, you know what, I want to read the rest of them. It was really great. And I would like to point out that in the trilogy that I discussed before this, The Children of Blood and Bone, all those are also told from the point of views of the different characters. So any book where I just don't have to be in the head of the same person the whole time, I like that, because I like to get different perspectives on things and see how different people are seeing and feeling about different things. So that's just me, my opinion. But I would definitely recommend this one. I'm going to give this a 10 out of 10 as well. Like I said, I'm currently reading the second one. So we'll see. It's starting off a little slower, you know, but it's great so far. I've read 10 books this year since March, and 8 of those books have been in the months of June and July. So my goal for this year was 30 books, and I just set that last night. So if my goal is 30 and I'm already about to be at 11, that's doable. But honestly, I read the most during the summer because I am a school counselor. School is out during the summer. I don't really have to work or have like a routine. I really can just do whatever I want when I want, and so it allows me the freedom to be able to read more often. I am a little bit nervous about how often I'm going to read once I'm back at work, which is in 2 weeks. So in the next 2 weeks, ideally, I'd like to finish the Housemaid series, which means finish reading the book that I'm reading now plus 1. And I'd also like to read 2 more books in addition to those, which that won't be hard at all. So really 3.5 books in the next 2 weeks. I'm going to get through 3.5 books probably by the start of next week. So that's a very modest goal for me. I do have a lot of books that I just picked up from Target. Hold on, let me show y'all what I got. Actually, I just changed my mind. I don't feel like taking them off the bookcase because I just put them on there this morning. But if you head on over to my TikTok, you will see that I posted a video with all of the books that I got from my little Target haul, because Target did have books buy 2 get 1 free. So I went on and got 9 of them things, you know what I mean? So by the end of the year, the goal is 30. Honestly, I think that I will exceed that, but I don't think that it will be by much, because once the school year starts and things really get going, I'm also planning a wedding, baby. So it's a lot going on. Let me just show y'all the ring again. It's beautiful. Yeah, so between planning a wedding, going back to work, and whatever else pops up, I don't really know that I'll be getting through that many books. It might take me a week or 2 weeks to get through 1 book. So with that math, I didn't really do any calculations in my head just now because I don't have those capabilities, but I think I'll probably hit 40. That's just a wild guess. I don't know. But anyway, if you've made it this far, thank you for watching. This was kind of all over the place because I didn't really anticipate on making this video, but I just got home. I had already just got my makeup done. I look cute. I'm dressed nice. So I said, you know what? Let me go ahead and slide up on the YouTube because I gotta be more consistent with posting. So if you've watched this video and if you've made it this far, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Please like it. Please comment on it, okay? Because engagement is how more people can get these videos on their feeds. And I would really greatly appreciate that, okay? So thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the next one.